Hello again, YouTube. We just wanted to point out a couple things to demonstrate some of the construction techniques that were used here that were not correctly done, and then the aftermath of that poor, we'll call it workmanship. If you look up, this small addition was added onto the house probably sometime in the 60s, late 60s. And although it was reshingled at the same time as the rest of the house, you'll notice the deterioration and the peeling and bubbling of the asphalt shingles on this particular one little addition of the house. If we walked around here and looked, this three-season, and then the garage was added later, but it was all reshingled to match. And yet, if you notice the roof there, and take my word for it that the roof on the upper story of the house has none of that same condition. And so, just to show you the significance of proper construction, well, before we bought this and I was looking at it, I was pretty certain as to the issue with this and why it bubbled up and none of the other stuff did. And I've just been able to confirm it today as we've been doing some deconstruction. If you look around the house, this outer side of the roof, this particular board is called the fascia board, which caps the end of the roof joist. And then underneath the fascia board is what's called a soffit, which is this flat one right here that goes along both sides. And if you look at the soffit on this house, you'll notice that it's just a solid continuous plank. That is actually the case on most of the building, except if you look in the end of the upper story, there's a vent. And there's a vent on both sides. The reason these shingles have peeled up is because in the heat, in Iowa, we get some pretty warm days, especially at the end of the summer. The heat accumulates as it rises through convection into the opening above the ceiling where it's stored. A vent and or what are called soffit vents, which should be along this side, allow for circulation of the air. What usually you do is you have a vent in the soffit or a series of little perforated pieces that allow air to draft in, and then the top of the roof usually has what's called a ridge vent, or some places do other styles of vents, but needless to say they allow a place for the hot air to escape. And so what happens is through convection the hot air drafts upwards and out through the ridge and draws in cooler air through the soffit. Because there are no soffit vents in here, and if you come inside the house, please, after you, welcome, please wipe your feet.
You don't want to get it dirty.
But if you look, here, let me take the camera for a second. Okay, if you look, and you probably can't see very well, YouTube, but if we get way up here, what you're looking at right now is what should be an open air space that should bleed out. It's alright, I got it. An open air space that should bleed out through that soffit vent. And you can see it's completely congested and obstructed with insulation, and that's the case all the way around. We've pulled a lot of it out up here, but there is no continuous opening to the outside. And so there's also no vent here, aside from the fairly poorly constructed seam there between the roof and the old house, and we found the original siding there. But so what's happened, if I give this back to you,
okay,
is over time the hot air has risen up into that space, and basically it's cooked the shingles off from the inside out. And so if you have an older home, or you have had asphalt shingle problems in the past, I'm sure if you had a professional person come in there and redo your roof, they probably have suggested that. But that just proves the significance. These shingles are at the end of their life anyway. They're probably almost 40 years old, so they've lived a good life. But to show how drastic the difference is between the unvented roof system versus the other inadequately vented but still vented roof system, it's pretty dramatic. So with that, we will keep you posted as we continue to discover all the unique idiosyncrasies of our little home. But it's been another good day, and Tell your friends. We'll look forward to seeing you.